Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And we know they are really groovy.
Got my popcorn again.
Good, yeah.
So,
All right.
ready to go.
All righty. All right, well, welcome everyone to another episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talk About Movies.
Speaking of which, where is that gal?
Yeah.
I'm
Bring up our gal.
here. I was
There's
hacked,
Liz.
you know. I was
There's Liz.
totally hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you were
I'm-
hacked. That's why we were late tonight.
Yeah, that's why we're late. But look, I'm dressed. You know, Tim Burton goes above and beyond with the visuals. He's very weird. He celebrates all things weird. So I put anything weird that I had in my closet, I put it on, and that's why you get what you get. Look, I even have these little frills on my cuff, and
Perfect.
so you know
Yeah.
that's my homage to Tim Burton here.
Yeah. And I love the
You wear
glasses.
stuff like that all the time, though.
Thank you. Yeah, and then Rory's just like, "What's different, Renee? What's different? You look like this all the time."
You take
I
pictures
knew
of
you
yourself
were
and stuff like that all the time. Yeah.
But, I like the glasses though. I like the cat eyes. Those are perfect.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. And they're pink too. They're a little
Yeah,
crazy.
Yep.
I like those
Yes.
glasses on you, too.
Right. Thank you guys. And yeah, so we're here for Tim Burton. And like I hadn't realized until we started doing pre-production for the show that so many of his movies I'm obsessed with. So many of his movies have made it into popular culture. He's huge. He has influenced culture, you know, arguably maybe just as much as any other director ever has. So I'm really excited about this show, and we're ready to go.
Well, he certainly gave Johnny Depp a career.
Yeah, that's the, you know, and that's one of the most Googled things, by the way. When you type in Tim Burton, it says, "Is there a movie without Johnny Depp in it that was directed by Tim Burton?" Is there any Tim Burton movie that does not star Johnny Depp?
He likes to work with the same people, but he
Yeah,
and Tim Burton definitely do have a special relationship.
Yeah.
They're very close friends. They go on shows together.
He's very loyal to Johnny Depp.
And their first movie together is on my list.
Yes, that's right. Do we want to start going down the list?
I
Sure.
got a hair. I dropped one on the floor.
Oh no.
Got a cat hair.
You know, 5-second rule.
I just admitted I ate popcorn off the floor. Thanks. Good way to start. Yeah, the first one on my list is his first big hit financially in the movie theaters, and that's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 1985.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie all the way around. It's a lot of fun. You know, Paul Reubens as Pee-wee Herman is as at his best. He's just unleashed. He's unbridled. Tim let him basically do whatever the hell he wanted as a creative force. And I mean, you know, the whole nod to Godzilla at the end, running through the movie studio, and Dee Snider and Twisted Sister, and James Brolin playing him in the movie. It's just fun from beginning to end. I mean, I just really enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. Even today, I watch it over and over.
Yeah, no, it's a fun movie. Yeah. And I really struggled. Oh, there you go. There's a power couple right there.
That's when he says, "Let's talk about your big butt."
Everybody has a big butt. Let's talk about your big butt.
Let's talk about your big butt. And they're up in a, is that the Godzilla or the T-Rex? What
It's
is
like
that?
It's T-Rex
Yeah, it's one of the-
head.
Yeah.
And then who could forget Large Marge?
Large
I
Marge.
mean, come on. She
That-
is.
Scared the poop out of me.
Me too.
When, you know, she goes all freak mode, and I'm like, holy crap, this is a comedy. What is a horror movie all of a sudden?
I remember the first time I saw it freaked me out too.
Yeah.
with the big
exactly.
eyes.
Eyes, and it's like, what was that?
You know, what's funny is the actress that's in the dinosaur head with him there. Paul Rubens is obviously Pee Wee. They got cast as the Penguin's parents in Batman Returns.
Right, yeah.
So they're at the very beginning of the movie. They're the ones that dump the basket into the river.
Yeah.
The Cobblepots.
The Cobblepots. Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue because my top of my list is actually I couldn't decide between these two. So because they're kind of they're a pair, and that's Batman and Batman Returns.
I did the same thing on my list. That's number 3.
Yeah.
Batman and Batman. I call it the Burton verse.
The Burton verse. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're just. I think. I mean, personally, I think Batman Returns is probably the better movie. It certainly got it's a bigger budget and all that, and plus, you have Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito. Well, Michelle Pfeiffer's the Catwoman. Danny DeVito,
but in the first one, you've got Jack Nicholson as
Jack
the
Nicholson.
Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Doing up the scenery. You've got.
This town needs an enema.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got. Oh gosh. Jack Palance as Grissom, Boss Grissom. You are my number one, a guy.
Exactly.
It even makes fun of him in the movie when he does the whole scene with the dead corpse.
Yeah. Nicholson, does a perfect Jack Palance impression. Yeah. Jack, maybe we can cut a deal.
Robert Wall,
Kim Basinger.
Yeah, I mean, again, in both movies, you got a wonderful cast.
Great.
Billy D. Williams.
Williams.
And again, they both have their moments. They both have great moments in the scripts. And
yeah.
I remember when he announced he was going to make Michael Keaton Batman, the fans went absolutely berserk nuts. You can't cast a comedian as Batman. What is wrong with you? They just went nuts, and they went on a campaign. And then the trailer came out.
Right.
And oh my God, that trailer was like, it was the best. It was like everyone's like, okay, I'm gonna like this.
All right. Yeah,
this is gonna be good.
That moment, yeah. I'm Batman. I mean, it's like, yeah, we're in. We're in. Whatever we said, yeah, forget that. No, I didn't have a problem with that. I figured, well, he's an actor, and I saw that movie that he did where his one serious movie before did that, and I forget what it's called, but he was like a alcoholic. I
remember the one you were talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
I want to say Clean and Sober, but I'm not sure that's it.
That might be it, but
that's a really dark movie.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Burton eventually cast him, is on the basis of that movie. He saw, well, this guy can, he's not just Beetlejuice. He can actually pull off the serious part. And Burton also, he was like, he said, that he wasn't casting Batman, he was casting for Bruce Wayne. And, he wanted to really talk about the humanity, the guy under the mask, rather than just the guy in the outer
suit. Yeah.
So yeah, and like you said, yeah, Paul Rubens and I forget her name, the lady who eventually was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure with him, playing the Cobblepots, playing mother and father to Oscar Cobblepot, who becomes
Christopher Walken, Smack Shrek.
Right.
She makes a great cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That actress deserves a nod. I'm gonna look her name up here.
Yeah. I think her first name is Mary, but well, you do that, yeah. And just as a little bit of trivia, Walken's character's name, Max Schreck, is actually the name of the actor who played Nosferatu.
That's correct.
In the movie Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Which was later turned into a movie with William Dafoe playing Max Schreck, who
Right.
they reimagine as being an actual vampire. And if you look at William Dafoe, you can kind of believe that he is.
Diane Salinger. That's it. Diane
Salinger.
Salinger as
Okay.
Simone
Yeah, Simone.
and her big foot.
And her, yes. He wants to go to France.
Tell me about your big butt.
Exactly. Oh, mercy. Yeah.
That is
There
such
she
a. I
is.
want to. Yeah, I want to go back to it because Pee-wee, because this movie. Danny Elfman, first of all, just
Yeah.
all of that. That is an incredible soundtrack. The way
Yeah.
that they start with the dream of him winning the Tour de France and all of that, and he's laughing,
Yeah.
but every single moment of it is hysterical, and it stands up. Like, it's still funny. Like, I've seen clips from it recently, and it's just hysterical. Paul is incredible, and they just let him do what he had already been doing. They allowed his character to just show everything that is inherent to the authentic. You know, they didn't try to like manipulate him or fit him into something different. They just let him be Pee-wee. And it's this great, you know, and they just took a very simple plot. And I love the plot of just, he loses his bike and he's got to go get it. And and another shout out to
It's
the Alamo
very important
scene.
to him.
It's I didn't know, do that again. I didn't know that you did a Pee-wee. Do it.
And it's very important to him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
There's several different kind of levels of the Pee-wee voice. You know, you get the high voice like this.
Right.
laugh.
You get a lot of that too.
Is that one of your main voices?
It's one that I do. You know,
I've never seen you do it before. It's really impeccable. I love it. It's awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
Well,
I love it.
thank
But
you
they
very
take
much,
it.
Renee.
You're welcome. And
I know
Donnie,
you are, but what am I?
It's even the face changes. Yeah, his face changes when he goes forward. You're right. It's like so funny. Oh my gosh, I love that. But yeah, that's what it is. But the Alamo scene, and I forget where her name is, the comedian who does the tour. She improv that
From
whole
Saturday
thing.
Night Live, Jen Hooks.
Jen Hooks,
Yeah, from Saturday Night Live. She just improv. They just brought her in, and they're like, "Give us
There's
a tour
no basement
of
at the Alamo.
Yeah, and she just like did it. It's so good. And seriously, if people, and then I love like the whole Texas thing. And she says to him, "Are you in Texas?" "Well, I don't know. Like, let me see. You know, the stars at night are big and bright." And everyone has to stop to go. You know, and when I was a kid in New York, I was like, I guess that's Texas. I kind of thought, like, up north, we kind of felt like that's what Texas. I still kind of feel like that's what Texas is. But
Yeah, it is.
One of my favorite
it basically is. It basically is. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, but I love the scene. I love the scene with the bikers, the biker bar, and the lady who plays Elvira.
Oh
yeah, Cassandra Peterson.
Yeah,
she's the biker mama.
She's one. Yeah, let me have him.
That's where they started. They've been friends ever since then.
Yeah,
they do shows and stuff all the time together because they
cool.
became friends doing that movie. Yeah, and you were talking about Elfman's scores on Tim Burton films. It actually started with a short film that he did. I think it was called "Don't Go Down in the Basement," and he got Elfman to do the song for the short film Tim Burton did. And that's where their collaboration began. So when it came time for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he said, "Will you do the whole score for me?" And that was so cool. Elfman's first film score. Yeah. And he became one of the biggest, most prolific composers for Hollywood films since that time.
Yeah, and great scores. Going back to Batman, I think that's probably one of the best movie scores just in general, but certainly one of the best superhero scores, right up there with John Williams' Superman score.
Well, funny you should say that because at one time Tim Burton was at the reins of redoing Superman, bringing Superman.
Yes, Superman.
And he was going to cast Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yes.
And again, the fans were like all up in arms. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And there was a problem with the producer. Kevin Smith was also on board for that. We talked about this, and the
Yeah, he
producer
was.
wanted a giant mechanical spider that shot flaming balls, like bombs,
Right.
which ended up in Wild Wild West.
Exactly.
With
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Wild
Yeah.
Wild
Smith.
West.
Yes. He wrote the script, and he was like, the guy was just obsessed with having the giant spider, and it's like, hey, okay, so he
Put
wrote it
kryptonite
in.
it.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that would have been fun. See Nicolas Cage as Clark Kent, Superman. There's an entire documentary on why it never came to pass, and there's
Why that tanked.
why it tanked. Why there's behind the scenes footage of the special effects guys trying designing the suits, and it actually looked pretty cool.
I have to find it. I love to watch documentaries on the making of movies, and my favorite one is why they never released Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, oh
you
yeah.
You have to buy it at conventions on bootleg.
Yeah.
And everybody's seen it because everybody bought it, on bootleg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that documentary's on Prime, maybe, or one of those streaming services.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it. Yeah, and the only reason they made the movie was so that the people who had the rights to it at the time could keep the rights to it.
Right.
And they made it for like $1 million, and it shows.
$1 million.
Well, the Doctor Doom costume actually looks pretty good. But the movie itself is just, it looks like a bad made-for-TV movie, and I'm surprised they didn't do that.
But at that time, I think it was 94.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It was before Marvel was doing the big movie,
the big universe.
I mean, we had still the Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby and
right,
and Lou Ferrigno, and lower budget Spider-Man type stuff, and no, actually Spider-Man had started, I think. The
TV show.
It was like 92.
Yeah, but before that, in the 80s or was it 70s or 80s?
Was it 84? I thought it was 94, but maybe it's
No, the Sam Raimi movies, that was in the 90s. But before that, there was a TV show, very short-lived.
Right, Nicholas Hammond,
right.
70s, yeah. And the guy that played Larry Tate was the first J. Jonah Jameson in the TV movie.
Jameson, that's right. Yeah.
David White, I believe his name was.
White, yeah.
We talked about it before. We talked about his grave.
So.
Anyway, just crazy how things work out that way, and it just things don't happen, and what would have it been like if it did happen,
right?
But there it is.
Yeah.
So my number 2 was Beetlejuice.
Okay.
I mean, it's an awesome movie. Again, another awesome cast: Eric Baldwin, Gina Davis, Michael Keaton in probably the best role of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Hope he's coming back to do it. They're talking about it right now.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Sequel.
Catherine O'Hara. Why she hasn't been in more Tim Burton stuff, I don't know, because she's got to be fun to work with.
That was brilliant.
Jeffrey Jones, Winona Ryder, Sylvia Sidney, who later came back for Mars Attacks.
Right.
Again, he likes to work with the same people, and I think this is the time where I need to talk about Glenn Shaddix. Glenn Shaddix is a character actor who was Otho in Beetlejuice.
Right.
Somebody dropped a house on her sister. He's wonderful. The interior decorator. He's wonderful in that. He's in a lot of the early Tim Burton. He's the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas. Jack, I'm just an elected official. The head spins around. He's the orangutan in Planet of the Apes. He's in a lot of. He's got a very booming voice. He's very, very easy to recognize his voice. Unfortunately, though, he slipped and fell in his house, and he died from falling and hitting his head, just like William Holden.
Yeah,
He died alone because nobody was there they didn't know that he had had an accident.
Yeah, that was so sad. Yeah. But yeah, he was such a great part of Beetlejuice.
Yes, Otho is very interesting. The suit at the end, the leisure suit at the end is hysterical.
Yeah, and of course there's
that boy. We're gonna have some laughs.
Yeah, and of course there's that classic scene where they're at the dinner table and they start doing the Banana Boat song. Yeah, and R.I.P. to Harry Belafonte.
We just lost Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, but it's probably the best scene in the movie when they're all possessed and they start singing that song and they're dancing on the table, and then the shrimp grab their face. And then you have Dick Cavett as
Dick Cavett. It's a great line at the end. If you want to scare people, do it with your art. Bedelia, you're a flake. You've always been a flake. And Robert Goulet. Yeah. Attention, Kmart shoppers. It's just a great movie. It's weird. It's weird beyond weirdness, and it's just a wonderful, delightful, crazy film.
Yeah.
So that's why it's number 2 on my list. Batman and Batman Returns is number 3 on my list. Again, I did the same thing as you did. I couldn't pick between the two of them which one was better.
Right. Yeah.
So I just put them on the list. Renee will tell you. We did the same thing, didn't we, Renee?
It was identical. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is Edward Scissorhands.
That's number 4.
Oh, okay.
Early Tim Burton is the best bit. Tim Burton.
Yes. And it's pure modern fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably one of Johnny Depp's best roles with Burton. There's others, but this is the one that I always remember when I think of Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, is Edward Scissorhands, and it also had Winona Ryder in it.
Right.
Just a great cast, and it's also special for me because I'm a huge Vincent Price fan, and this was his last movie.
Yes.
And he put in a really nice little performance.
I actually, it's not his last movie.
Oh, well, one of his last.
There was a zombie film where he played Frankenstein.
No.
What the hell was the name of that film? Dead Heat with Joe Piscopo, Treat Williams.
Oh yes,
he plays Frankenstein in it, and he's very, very frail in that one. And this one, he's actually in Edward Scissorhands. He looks old, but his voice is strong.
Yeah.
He's dressed up nice, but in that one, he just looked frail and old, and it was sad. I wish that Edward Scissorhands was his last movie. It is his swan song, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that movie was just terrible.
I totally forgot about Dead Heat, and I actually did see it at the theater. I think
the only thing that I really liked about Dead Heat was when he knew he was going to die when he was in the ambulance and the ambulance was going to crash, but he was okay with it because he knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
So he had that crazy yell as he was going into the accident. That was that Treat Williams was interesting, but a lot of the movie was just terrible.
Yeah. So
and you I don't know what possessed them to make a movie where you really invested all in your characters, and then you kill them all.
Right? Yeah.
The leading lady's face just melted in front of you. After you're like, oh, I like her a lot. After you've given your heart to the person, then she turns out to be bad, and her face melts, and she's. Anyway, let's not talk about Dead Heat anymore.
Yeah.
Not worthy.
So Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, yeah, it can get a little schmaltzy. It can get a little over sentimental. I mean, they don't just tug at your heartstrings. They just grab them and yank them out of you. There's a great performance by Albert Hall. No.
Alan Arkin.
Well, Alan Arkin. No,
Okay.
the young fellow, Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, Anthony Michael Hall. Yeah,
as the villain.
Yeah, he played the bad kid.
He played the bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
Because usually
good.
in the Brat Pack movies is always kind of the one that's sort of picked on and what have you. This one, he's just
goofy nerd kind of guy.
Yeah.
Computer guy.
But so anyway, it was a toss up between this one and Batman, and but Batman won out because I'm a total comic book nerd. So, but Edward Scissorhands came as a very, very close second.
Diane Wiest, wonderful performance as always. She always turns in a fantastic performance. Alan Arkin.
Right.
There was a making of 30-minute special that was on HBO about the making of Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
And he kidded. He wrapped himself up in a blanket. And he was like, "Oh, Tim Burton, I'd love to work with you again, but wow, you just really worked as hard." He was making a joke, but I think it really upset Tim Burton because he never appeared in another Tim Burton movie ever again. Yeah. So again, great performance, but you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. Olan Jones, who played Jack Black's mother in Mars Attacks, was in it as the crazy lady who was saying that he was evil.
Right.
And just wonderful performances.
Yes.
Was it Kathy Baker? I got to look it up. She was also the one that dies in that Michael Keaton movie you were talking about. Spoiler alert. Clean and Sober.
Is it Kathy Baker?
I think it's Kathy Baker. Yeah, is the name of the actress.
Yeah, I don't.
She's a great actress.
Yeah.
She deserves a nod here. So I'm going to make sure that I get the name right. Okay. Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
He does her hair outside, and she almost has an orgasm. Yeah, Kathy Baker.
Right. Yeah.
Right. and she starts that whole thing where everybody wants to get her hair done by him, and then the hedges.
Right. All the.
Or maybe it was the hedges first, and then they decided to do the hair. It's been a while since I've seen it. But Winona Ryder and Depp were actually a thing at the time when they made the movie. They were dating at the time.
Yeah.
This was filmed in, I think it was St. Petersburg, Florida. It was Tampa, Florida, or St. Petersburg, Florida, because we were close to the filming when it was filming. I was living there at the time.
Oh, cool.
They were saying that they saw them together a lot in like video stores and stuff. You remember we had Blockbuster video stores back then?
Oh, yeah.
Where you go rent videos.
Right, yeah.
What happened to those? Cable,
Yeah.
I used to like going to stores.
Netflix killed them.
Yeah, Netflix killed them.
But before they were doing streaming,
Netflix killed the video star.
The video store, yeah. There's one Blockbuster left.
Really?
Yeah, there's still one left. I want to say in Washington State, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw ironically, speaking of Netflix, they have a documentary on different things, and one of them was about Blockbuster, at the height of their power, and that starting to buy other companies and so on and so forth, and then Netflix comes along to sort of undercut them by actually just mailing you the DVDs, and
thank you.
And then they try to get in, but all the stores disappeared except this one. It's still in operation,
privately owned, no doubt.
Yeah,
the company probably went belly up.
Yeah. Somebody in the audience thinks it's in Oregon where that is.
Oregon?
The last one is
Yeah.
Oregon. That's what somebody is saying. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest where Sasquatch is. I think Sasquatch is probably the main.
Sasquatch is working at a Blockbuster in Oregon.
They're like, did you order Edward Scissorhands? Here you go.
He just growls at you as he gives you your videos.
I'll get it from the back.
I'm sorry. I have a late fee.
No late fees. Oh my goodness. Anyway.
All right, so we got through 4
Yeah.
on a list. Number 5 for me, we're going from Edward Scissorhands to Ed Wood.
Yes.
And
Actually,
even though I prefer movies in color, I love Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I said that there was another one that I thought Johnny Depp just knocked it out of the park, and then of course playing the real life director Ed Wood. And
see, now that performance I think is probably his best one. It's a kind of a toss up between that one and Sleepy Hollow.
yes,
because in Sleepy Hollow he was as Ichabod Crane. He is just delightful.
right.
It's just a really, really fun performance. With Edward Scissorhands, he really doesn't get to say much.
No, it's very quiet.
It's a very nuanced performance.
Yeah.
I gather. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But
Ed Wood, yeah, you're right.
It's his best. Yeah, Ed Wood, man, there are so many levels to that guy. And Depp.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, I've seen videos of Ed Wood. He's that nutty. I mean,
Yeah.
Depp really jumped into it. I think he did his research, and I think he watched videos or films of Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really interesting performance.
Yeah.
When he's telling him that, he goes in to pitch his film, Glenn or Glenda.
Yes.
And he's telling the guy that he's wearing women's clothes, wearing women's undergarments under his war outfit when he was in the war.
Yeah.
You believe it.
Yeah.
I like to wear women's clothes.
But
he's so good natured.
Yeah. And of course, got to give a special shout out to Martin Landau.
Oh my God!
As Bela Lugosi.
He got the Academy Award.
Wow. Yes. Talk about nailing a part. I mean, he looked like Lugosi.
Thanks to Rick Baker.
Thanks to makeup magic of Rick Baker. And he had the voice. And,
yes.
He didn't.
It was a really perfect impression. Yeah.
Yeah. And
without going overboard.
Yeah.
Because when people do well in Lugosi, they have a tendency to go overboard. Blah.
Blah,
blah. Yeah. I never said blah, blah, blah.
And the scene where he's wrestling some sort of octopus or some sort of creature.
Oh, God.
It's like,
roll around and make it look like he's killing you. Depp must have been hard the whole time he did that role with lines like that. Oh my God.
And
no, it's fine. He would have had that problem in real life.
Yeah.
But he smashed into the door. Don't you want another take?
Yeah, and the whole recreation of them filming Plan 9 from Outer Space. And Bill Murray's in it, and Jessica.
Yes.
Sarah Jessica Parker's in this movie as his wife. Or
yes.
His wife? Yeah.
Or
his girlfriend, or
I think it was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Dolores had married him or not.
Yeah.
But the Patricia Arquette character, the one after, did marry him for sure.
Right. Yeah.
And she was with him till the end of his life.
Yeah.
He was a terrible alcoholic, and he ended up having to make like softcore porn films in the latter part of his career.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Orgy of the Damned.
Yeah.
Poor Criswell, who was a real person. I mean, he was involved in all of that.
Right. Yeah. And how he talked this church into ponying up money to make Plan 9 from Outer Space, and and I think
they took some liberties. But,
yeah, of course. It's always they're 100%. But I love the scene where, because he wants to be. I mean, Wood wants to be a serious filmmaker,
Right.
and he has this chance meeting with Orson Welles.
Yes,
Played by,
which I think
Vincent
was
D'Onofrio.
fantasy. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio actually
Yeah.
plays Wells in it. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, they had to dub him. He couldn't do an impersonation of
yeah, somebody
Wells,
else.
so they had to dub him with somebody who could.
Well, they dubbed him with a guy who does the brain.
Pinky and the Brain, yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
What we gonna do now, Brian?
What are we gonna do now, Brian?
Same thing we do, I think.
Jeffrey Jones didn't do a good impersonation of Criswell, by the way, because Criswell had a voice that sounded like this for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
You know, and Jeffrey Jones is just Jeffrey Jones, but
Do you believe in life on other planets?
that's it. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Edward.
Criswell predicts.
Yes.
So,
number 4, I gotta say, my number 4 movie was
Mhm.
is, Mars Attacks, which
Okay.
has already been covered here, but
well, not here, but we covered
here,
it
but
on the General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing.
Howitzer
Big
talked
Monster
about it.
Briefing.
But
Uh,
another just out and out, just great comedy,
yeah.
a little bit of horror, another just super cast. I mean,
Yes.
again, you got Jack Nicholson again, Sarah
Yeah.
Jessica Parker again,
Yeah.
and then Pierce Brosnan.
I'm surprised Depp wasn't in this somewhere.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
you would think he would have been great as the Pierce Brosnan character. But
Right. Yeah. Or even
he might have been busy doing something else.
yeah, he might have been
But my guess is he would have been the Pierce Brosnan doctor character, scientist character, if
right.
he had been available.
Yeah.
And Pierce Brosnan, and again, I don't know why Pierce Brosnan. I've never heard anything that he's difficult to work with or anything. Why he wouldn't be in another Tim Burton film? Because Burton does film in England a lot.
Yeah.
You would think, but there it is. He never appeared in another Tim Burton film afterwards.
Yeah.
Got to also talk about the score for Ed Wood. Howard Shore did the score for Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Stepped in for Tim. I'm sorry, for
Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
Right. Yeah.
And did an awesome job. I mean, it's a score that I listen to. I mean, it's got some good stuff in it.
Yeah. It's probably one of the few scores. I don't know if it's even the only score that Elfman didn't do for a Burton movie.
I can't remember what it was that kept Elfman from doing it, but he had a commitment or something. He had to do something. He was doing
Maybe
something
doing
else.
another movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny Elfman, lead singer of Oingo Boingo.
Yeah. So again, he is an extremely prolific, busy composer. So by that time, maybe he was busy working on a couple of other projects and he just couldn't do it. And Tim Burton, again, wasn't offended by it because he's done a lot of scores since that time.
Right. Yeah.
You know. Alice in Wonderland.
Right. Yeah.
And other scores since then for
So my fifth movie is, we've mentioned it also, is Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
Which is this one's just out and out horror. This is just an out and out horror movie.
I wanted to put it on my list, but there was only 5. So, and this is really, even though it's very Tim Burton, this is really a lot darker. And it just kind of gets weird at the end with Walken showing up as the headless horseman with his head and and the teeth and the bite kiss at the end. The ending really kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, but it was still. I mean, again, we have Johnny Depp.
It's a great movie. Again, I wanted to put it on my list, but there was only 5. So
yeah,
I got 6 on the list.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have a couple of honorable mentions. It's actually Beetlejuice, which didn't make my top 5, but it's still awesome movie. And the other one is probably one of Burton's probably lesser known movies is Big Fish.
Okay. Yeah.
Big Fish with Ian McGregor.
Yeah. Danny DeVito is the werewolf.
Danny DeVito, Billy Crudup. yeah, very, again, not kind of out of the norm.
Yeah,
For
well, that's
Burton,
what you expect from Tim Burton.
it still has that fairy tale quality that Burton seems to like in his movies. You know,
Uh-huh.
and it's about storytelling, and it's about fathers and sons, and it's about all
Yeah,
these other things, and it's just a sweet little movie
yeah.
that kind of flies under the radar when we're talking about Tim Burton. But
Um, yeah, I agree. It's an entertaining film. It's an
yeah,
entertaining story. I mean, again, I think it was Monty Python, Terry Gilliam,
Terry
who said
Gilliam,
that there's just too few directors today who can really tell a story anymore.
right?
Um, Tim Burton's one of them. He can still tell a great story. You know, he
Yeah,
knows that's the core of what makes a really good movie is you got to tell a good story that the audience will be engaged with.
right. Yeah, and
Um,
it kind of
I
I would
think
put that
I think Gilliam was poking fun at Spielberg when he said that. He was saying
probably.
that Spielberg doesn't know how to tell a story anymore.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not sure about that, but I
I
think at the time I felt that way when I
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I put it up there with what's his name? Anderson, uh,
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. Yeah, like Great Budapest Hotel and
Yeah.
all those movies. It's very quirky, but on a very
What's
different level.
wonderful about Anderson's movies is the editing. I mean, the editing on
Yeah,
those is almost as funny as the characters. I mean, the way he
yeah,
edits the
yeah,
stuff, it's just hysterical.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, and usually you get Bill Murray when you get Wes Anderson or Owen Wilson or the Wilson
Right.
brothers.
Yeah. Or
Um,
both.
yeah, so we'll have to do a show on that
On
sometime.
Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, Big Fish kind of reminds me of a Wes Anderson movie.
I can see that.
Especially the Grand Budapest Hotel, and just that idea of a story within a story within a story, and you're not really sure if any of it is true. So
Well, and that's the real fun of it is when the son goes back and then you get all the callbacks to what the father was talking about.
exactly,
You see everything as, oh, wait a minute. I
yeah,
didn't believe that, but there it is.
yeah,
So that's what's fun about that film.
yeah.
I thought as far as honorable mentions, I was pretty sure we were going to go to the animated stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna
right. Yeah,
Nightmare
I almost
Before
yeah,
Christmas and the
I remember
Corpse Bride.
and Corpse Bride. Yeah,
I think that Burton didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas. That was
no,
somebody else.
I
He
think
just
he wrote
produced
it,
and wrote it.
produced it. Yeah, and
But Corpse Bride he did,
yeah,
I believe.
and again, Johnny Depp.
And again, Johnny Depp. Well, for Corpse Bride.
Yeah,
Actually, what was weird about A Nightmare Before Christmas was that they got Chris Sarandon to do Jack Skellington, the main character,
right. Yeah,
but he couldn't sing, I guess.
yeah.
So then they gave Elfman the songs.
Elfman
So
sang
he's the voice of Jack Skellington when he's singing.
right. Yeah, because again, Boingo Boingo.
Catherine O'Hara comes back as Sally.
Yeah,
Sally, you've used frog's breath. That's actually William Hickey.
William Hickey. Right.
Great character actor. That was one of the last things he did. Was the doctor, the mad scientist character.
Right, yeah.
And again, Glenn Shaddix is the mayor, and I was going to say something about somebody
Yeah.
who was in that, and I can't remember what it was now.
I was trying to remember.
Catherine O'Hara was also one of the three kids with the masks, Shock, Lock, and Barrel, and Pee-wee. Paul Rubens was one of the other ones.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not the Santa Claus, throw him in a sack.
That's probably the best soundtrack to a Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
This is Halloween and that one.
Nightmare Before Christmas. One of Danny Elfman's best.
Yeah.
Corpse Bride.
Corpse Bride. Yeah.
Wonderful. Albert Finney
Again.
plays that horrific looking squat man character. the big mouth.
And did Helena Bonham Carter play the bride, right?
Helena Bonham Carter, yeah, who he was dating at the time.
Right.
She was in a couple of his movies. She was in that one. She played the corpse bride.
Sweet Blood.
She was not Dr. Zayas. What's the name of the female?
Oh,
Zara, the ape in Planet of the Apes.
The Apes. Yeah. And she played mom in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. So she did several of his films before he moved on to Lisa Marie.
Yeah. Well, no, he dumped Lisa.
Oh no, that maybe it was the other way around. Maybe it was Lisa Marie first, and then Helena Bonham Carter. She's still with him, isn't she?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they have kids together.
Right. Yeah.
So she thinks she's horribly ugly. If you can imagine that. And everybody's like, "Wow, no, you're beautiful,"
Yeah.
But she thinks she's just ugly as all sin. She thinks she's horribly ugly, disfigured and ugly. It's amazing. All right. So yeah, I felt we needed to mention those two.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Honorable mentions, like you said.
Yeah.
Lately, God, I haven't seen anything that's really grabbed me that he's done. I mean, really grabbed me like it used to, like he used to be able to grab me.
I know, and
it's interesting stuff. It's fun stuff. It's got little touches of Tim Burton in it. Like the Dumbo thing, and
Dumbo. I think is the last one he's done.
Yeah. They were talking about doing another Disney, and then it fell apart.
Yeah.
He didn't direct the second Alice in Wonderland, did he not? He only did the first one, right?
He did the first one. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Don't think he directed Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah, that was somebody else.
Yeah. I liked Alice in Wonderland. I mean,
Alice in Wonderland was entertaining.
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter is the Queen of Hearts in that.
Yeah. I need a pig here.
And again, another interesting character by Deb, the Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter, yeah.
There's different levels of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, and another great cast.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about Burton movies is he does cast really well.
Yeah, he works with the best people.
Yeah,
he works with the best people.
I have to say I kind of disappointed in some of his adaptations, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, I'm actually like it, but it doesn't compare to the Gene Wilder 70s version.
See, and again, I can honestly say I tried my best not to compare it to the original. I said, okay, I'm going to try to go into this with an open mind.
Yeah.
But I just, and this was a real surprise for me because Elfman's score missed on this one for me too.
Yeah.
Which was a real surprise. But when it came to the songs with the Oompa Loompas, I just didn't like it.
It was too dark. I think it was too dark. It missed a lot of the kitschy fun stuff from the original. And I also said to myself, like, don't try to compare it. Just totally see it as a new animal. I just didn't like it, and I don't know anyone who really did. Everybody
you can't not compare it to the original. That's the problem.
Yeah,
you can't not compare it to the original. And
but even if it were its own movie, I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm just sure it failed. It just kind of left me feeling it was soulless in a way, and it kind of also felt a little bit just depressing, not in a fun, weird way, just like a weird,
agreed.
Just sort of descends on you when you're, like
I came out of there not feeling good.
No, I didn't feel good at all.
Oh God, I watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I felt like I wanted that part of my life back. I was like, give me my money back. I don't know, and I don't know why, because all of the elements, like you said, together, all of the elements should have worked, but I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's more faithful to the Roald Dahl book, and all the Oompa Loompa songs are based on the poems in the book and
Mhm.
all
Yes.
that. But you know, I mean, and good for them. You know, I you got to give them props for that. But the end product, and then they added the Christopher Lee character
Mm, the father.
of the father, you know, which wasn't in the
Mhm.
book. And I mean, I love me
Yeah.
some Christopher Lee, and I always,
Yeah.
you know, he makes an appearance in a movie. But yeah, it didn't add anything to the story. Um, and the other one that disappointed me greatly was his remake of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that one.
Oh,
I
Mark
missed
Wahlberg.
that.
I mean, hey, I'm going to be a space pilot. I'm going to go out into space with me. I'm going to.
yeah, yeah.
I can't even do that without
It doesn't
laughing.
sound good. It doesn't sound good.
It's not. I mean, great makeup effects by Rick Baker, of course. Always excellent. Uh, you know, miles ahead of what they did in the 60s or 70s, whenever the originals came out, or 60s, yeah, 68. And Charlton Heston is in the movie as playing an ape this time, but yeah, it just misses the mark.
The only thing that I liked about it was Tim Roth.
Yeah.
Tim Roth was a good villain.
Yes.
As what was his name? Thade.
Yeah.
Thade.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti. They were interesting as apes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's about it. That's about all you can say about it.
You know, the ending was interesting, but yeah, and they had to explain that. I mean, the audiences were so taken aback by that. They had to explain it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you see, he went back in time here, and there was this time thing here, and so it's like a multiverse kind of. They were trying to explain it was like a multiverse kind of thing, and anyway,
well,
it was just kind of confusing.
Yeah, I mean, the ending was kind of similar to the ending of the book, where the astronaut does go back to. He actually is on an alien planet. And he comes back to Earth, and he encounters their apes.
Right. Thade has come back in the past. That's what it was. Thade came back in the past and changed everything.
Right.
So when he came back to Earth, it's run by apes.
Right.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The when they rebooted it again, oh my gosh, those are so much better. So much better. The ones with Andy Serkis as.
Oh yeah.
That little trilogy there.
It made more sense.
Yeah, it made more sense. Yeah. And I get it that he was trying to make it different from the original Charlton Heston movie, but yeah, it didn't work. It just didn't work for me.
Didn't work for me either.
Yeah, I mean, Alice in Wonderland was a much better adaptation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so Burton has, he's had some misses. But I think overall his movies are very good.
His body of work is exemplary.
His body of work, exactly. Yeah. It stands out.
And Jamie wanted us to mention Wednesday on Netflix, the series, the current series.
Yeah, actually, watched that.
Phenomenal.
Binge watched it. Was very entertaining. Yeah, really liked that. So he's
very
getting back to his roots.
Yeah, everything you like about Burton, I think, is present in that series. So thank you, Jamie, for reminding us about that. It's weird that just totally, I don't know, but
you're
so
right.
good.
It does deserve a mention.
Right.
Yeah. Because Burton at his best is when he marries the weird with the fantastic, with the fairy tale, but there's always sort of a good feeling about it. Beetlejuice initially, the initial script for Beetlejuice before Burton got involved, it was really homicidal and like a sex maniac and violent and rude and crude. It wasn't uplifting at all. And it ended up going to Geffen first, I think. And at some point, somebody called in one of the script writers and screenwriters and said, "What's going on in your life? Are you okay? Like personally?" Like, do you need to talk to somebody? And so
Where
then
did you
they
read that? I
realized,
want to read that story.
I'll send you an article. I'll send you the article. It's so, like, are you okay?
That's
Seriously.
hysterical.
And then it ends up with Burton. And
Well,
thank God that
I'm
it
black.
changed all
You know
of
what I mean?
that. Yeah.
And I feel good about myself.
Just like initially he wanted to just be a total ass without any endearing qualities at all. And they were going to call it, and then when Burton got on, he said, okay, we're going to call it Beetlejuice. And the studio was like, no, we're going to call it House Ghosts. House Ghosts. So then like Burton was like, that's not even memorable. Like, come on, man. So he
Yeah.
lobbied to get it to be Beetlejuice. And I've just said Beetlejuice 3 times now. So I'm sure somewhere something is.
He's gonna appear in the back of your house.
Yep.
Ah!
Yeah.
That's eerily accurate. Oh
Hello,
my
Renee.
gosh.
How are you? I'm in your bed now.
Oh, and another thing was they wanted the soundtrack to be R&B instead of Belafonte. And that would have changed the whole thing because, I mean, gosh, the last dance at the end with jumping the line, rock your body on time. Okay,
Right.
I believe you. I mean, that would have been so, I mean, to change that out would have just been crazy. But yeah, so it hits all the right marks when he's doing all of that. That's what Edward Scissorhands is like that too. You have to make it have some kind of a good feeling. And Alice in Wonderland, I think, hit those same notes. And I think Wednesday, the series is hitting all of those proper notes too, where you feel good and you want to watch it, you're entertained. And yeah, it's creepy as shit and it's weird, but eccentric more than disturbing. Like you don't have trouble sleeping. Except for Large Marge. Except for Large Marge.
Large Marge, yeah.
I love the
Still
fact that he put
that's
Christina
a little
Ricci.
too crazy. Yeah.
That he put Christina Ricci, the original Wednesday, in it too. I love that.
Yeah.
And not as a bit part, not as a cameo. She's a major part of that series.
Right.
You know? As a matter of fact, she's got more time than the Addams family themselves. You know, Gomez and Morticia, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
She was a really good Morticia. And Guzman was not. I mean, he was really kind of creepy looking. I mean, that's what you expect from Gomez.
But
people are busting on. Oh, he's not a good Gomez.
He looks like the original Charles Addams.
Right. He looks like Gomez. You know, he picked the right
beard, the mustache. Yeah. But I think people remember, Raul Julia.
And you can still see the love that he has for his daughter when he's talking to her. I mean, it was a good performance. I thought he's no Raul Julia, but for crying out loud for this, he was fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But, haters gotta hate.
There it is. All right. Okay, I thought maybe next time we would talk about John Carpenter.
Ooh, yes.
Carpenter, we're doing The Fog this week on the Big Monster Briefing Room, and it just dawned on me as I was making notes for the show and everything that it'd be nice to do John Carpenter because he's got one of those kind of up and down. I mean, he started off real strong like Tim Burton, and it's just kind of like, wait a minute, hold on, what's he doing?
Yeah. I mean,
So I'd be curious to know what your top 5 movies of John Carpenter movies, and he always says it's John Carpenter's movie.
Yeah,
or at least early on he did. John Carpenter's Vampires.
That's right.
John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars. John Carpenter's Christine. All right, it was written by Stephen King, but it's my movie, damn it. John Carpenter.
It's mine now. I think the only one he doesn't do that is Escape from New York, or maybe it is.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's John Carpenter's Escape from New York, yeah. That was early on, too. So, So what do you think, Renee?
I think it's fun. And Jamie said yes, because Jamie's a big Carpenter fan. So she said yes. She's excited about that. And yeah, I do like how it's always his name. And that's why we remember his name. It's really good marketing. So he was smart, he branded himself and he knows what he's doing.
The guy that killed Hogan from Hogan's Heroes, Crane.
Bob Crane.
Bob Crane. His name was John Carpenter.
Oh,
No
really?
way.
Look
Wow.
it up. He was
Oh my
a friend of his
God.
that sold him a lot of video equipment and stuff that he used to make like porn movies and stuff with people that he was having sex with.
Oh,
And
my
Yeah.
goodness.
he bashed him over the head with a tripod to get some secret films or something that he was in or something.
That's so
Yeah.
awful.
And they didn't prove it. It took like 20 years for them to prove it. They had to reopen the case like 20 years later because they're like, why didn't you catch this? What you know, because they let him go the first time. But yeah, his name was John Carpenter.
Wow.
No relation.
Such a tragedy too, because I was such a
Yeah.
fan. I mean, what an amazing, emotive actor, a compassionate actor. I just loved everything about him, and I never knew that they had really solved that. I had always heard it was, when people talk about his death, they just say, "Oh, it's just a creepy sex thing," right? That's how people just talk about it. I didn't know the details, but that
That
always
was
made me
part of
sad
it.
that he died that way.
That's
Yeah.
what kind of led up to it. Yeah.
What was that
Well,
movie?
yeah.
It was a movie about Bob Crane.
Autofocus
Is there?
with
Is
Greg
there?
Kinnear. And
Oh,
Greg
Greg
Kinnear
Kinnear.
plays him, and he's wonderful. He's wonderful as Bob
Crane,
Crane.
yeah.
really? I should watch that.
And Willem Dafoe plays John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Not this
Yeah.
John Carpenter. The different
Not this John Carpenter, but the
No,
Bob
more,
Crane John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Oh boy, that's
So
crazy.
yeah, you should
there's a
see
lot
that.
of
It's good.
material.
And
yeah, it's a good movie.
Rita Wilson plays Carpenter, Bob Crane's wife,
Right.
I believe.
Yeah. Of course,
And
they talk about his time on Hogan's Heroes, and
Most of it is about his porn addiction.
yeah. Yes. Yes.
And about how it basically ruined his life, ruined his career, because people started finding out about it. And again, he'd moved from Hogan's Heroes to he did a Disney film, Super Dad or something like that, and they found out about the porn, and they're like, well, wait a minute, we don't want this guy.
Yeah, but that's what always bothered me about it. It's so hypocritical and this like pearl clutching where people were so judgmental to him. He was such a fantastic actor,
He
and
was.
and the fact that somebody would be, nowadays I don't think anyone would care, and in Europe at that time no one would have given a shit. This is just it's indicative of where the culture was and how reputations were ruined based on other people trying to superimpose. I mean, this is what the LGBTQ plus community has had to deal with, right? I mean, it's like people superimposing their own beliefs about whatever, the body or whatever, and then putting it on someone else. And then you have a fantastic actor like this who basically his career was ruined or sullied. And I mean, I grew up with that because I used to love Hogan's Heroes, and everyone would always said, "Oh, he was a pervert," And I'm thinking, first of all, why the fuck do I care what he is? I'm watching Hogan's Heroes. I mean, it's a character,
He was
and then
Colonel Hogan.
number two, it's like, who are you to call him a fucking pervert? Like, who knows what to do? I don't.
What do you do behind closed doors? Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do? Like what? Like you don't have a sex drive? Well, if you don't have a sex drive, then people are going to say you're unhealthy too. They judge no matter what you do, no matter what you are. People are going to judge, and it's just so horrible, And I'm glad that we're emerging from that, but but he gave so much.
Yeah,
to the
you should
culture.
see that movie,
Hogan's Heroes was
Autofocus.
great.
It's really,
I
really
should,
good
I should
movie.
see that. Yeah,
It's a really good movie.
his popcorn. Jamie said his popcorn addiction. Yeah, that's Rory. Rory has the popcorn.
Rory has
addiction.
the popcorn addiction. Yeah.
That's a different.
Bag a day.
Giant bag of popcorn. Yeah.
Bag a
That's
day.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and JD said that he missed it. It's okay, JD. You can just hit rewind, and it'll be as if we were
Replay.
talking about Tim Burton. We were talking about Tim Burton. Next week, we're going to do John Carpenter with all of his movies. So, and then Jamie said, "I paint with."
And we're going to talk about all of their
glitter."
porn addictions.
We're going to talk about all of our porn
Paints with
addictions.
glitter. She paints with glitter behind closed doors.
She does. She does. Well, you know what, Jamie? There's somewhere in the world. I mean, right now, if you go to Iran, you can't even dance. You can't have, you're supposed to be wearing the burqa and all that. They call us perverts. No matter
fun at
what
all.
they do, we're all
Yeah, if you take it off,
perverts
they
based on
spray
where
acid
you
in your
are.
face.
Yeah, it's
They'll
awful.
throw acid on your face.
You know why we need to stick up for people is because it's like that old adage about like first they came for the Jews, I wasn't a Jew, I didn't care. Then they came for the Catholics, I didn't care because if we don't stand up for people and their reputation, protect people's reputations, and allow people to be individuals, then they eventually they come to you. That's what people never understand. Like eventually they will have a problem with something you're doing. So, but it's funny that you mentioned Bob Crane because I used to think about him all the time, and I was it always bothers me that his career went that way, and I never really got over it.
I never knew until I saw that movie that they called him the poor man's Jack Lemmon.
I never. Oh, I didn't know
He
Really?
was the
that.
poor man's Jack Lemmon when he got the
Really?
part of Hogan. That's what they called him at the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never.
and
No, I
he
never
ended
knew
up
that.
doing summer stock, theater, traveling around to places and doing theater. And that's where Carpenter met up with him and
Yeah.
came
Well, he
back
always
to his
seems
room later
so.
that night and conked him over the head
He always seems so affable,
while he was
as
sleeping.
Hogan, and you know,
To
I
do that, yeah, to do that part of Hogan, that really, maybe it was the age I was introduced, less and whatever, but that gave me such a good sense of right and wrong,
Yeah,
the historical context and the way that his character, the way that he was able to portray it with such valor, bravery, and yet mercy and compassion. I always thought, and how they humanized. I loved how the writers also humanized everybody, and they used really silly moments in it, of course, but they humanized everyone, and I think it really profoundly impacted the culture and how we view. How do you view your enemy? How do you view someone
right.
who's the worst person on earth?
they
And then
didn't
how do
think it
you
was going to
view
be
like the
successful.
hero?
Yeah, I mean, how do you
Really,
make
They
I
didn't
didn't
think it
know
was going to
that.
be successful because it was poking fun at at World War II and the Germans
Right.
and I mean, everybody was thinking, oh, the gas ovens and Auschwitz and all that
Yeah,
stuff, and
Yeah.
they thought that the Jewish community was going to be up in arms about it. And again, it went like 7 seasons, which back at that time, if you did 3 seasons of a show, that was a good run.
yeah,
It wasn't like The Simpsons going 20, 30 seasons,
yeah. Well, and also Werner Kempler, who played the Colonel,
Mm.
he was Jewish,
Right. Yeah.
A hell of an opera
Exactly.
singer, by the way.
huh?
I
He's a
didn't
hell
know
of an
that.
opera
Oh,
singer, by the way.
Yeah,
we got to watch that.
We just lost the last cast member.
Oh no,
Yeah, last year,
I know nothing. I know
LeBeau,
nothing.
Carl, not
Ooh,
Carl LeBeau.
I see
Robert
nothing.
Clary.
No.
Robert Clary passed away last year.
yeah,
Though, and then Mash, of course, too. These were times where morality and ethics. It was like there really was like a clear line, and writers in Hollywood were really okay with taking a stand for that kind of thing, and for valor and for strength and courage and standing up for what you believe in, that kind of a thing. Mash, of course, I think took that with all his political sense. They really took that as far as you could go, I think, which is great. Yeah, Mash is my favorite too, Jamie.
And MASH
But I
went
love
11
that
seasons. 11
wow.
seasons.
11, and people couldn't even like. I think
Longer than
what
the
was their
Korean
power
War actually
outages?
lasted.
What weren't there power outages during the finale of MASH? I think it was the most watched hour of television
Yeah,
up to that date.
one
I'm
of the
not sure.
longest finales. It was like 3 hours long or something. And it's so awesome, so great. I mean,
So
if you weren't bawling like a baby at the end of that,
and you weren't human,
have no
and you
heart.
weren't even human. Yeah.
But I love the movie. I mean, I love the movie. I love the Robert Altman, the original movie. And then they brought it to TV, and it was like, how's this going to work? And of course they had to tone down the blood and what have you. But it's still Larry Gelbart did such a great job.
And the casting was just phenomenal. And then again, all of the character development, because they were on long enough to be able to get deep into these characters. And the arc of the characters too, where Hawkeye at first he's kind of more just like a womanizer or whatever, but by the end you see such a fully robust, well-developed character with again compassion and mercy, and it's just great.
And of course, TV being TV and Hollywood being Hollywood, they try to capitalize on the success of MASH with the sequel series After MASH, which focused on
After MASH, yeah. And Trapper John MD was another spinoff, right?
Trapper John actually succeeded.
Good. That was a good one.
They had, although they recast, it wasn't Wayne Rogers, it was
Pernell Roberts. Yeah.
But yeah, After MASH was such a misstep. I mean, it was like, even though they had the original cast members, without Alan Alda, without Loretta Swit, without some of the other characters, it just as much as you loved the Colonel and Klinger and all those guys, it's it's basically Rosencrantz and Guildenstern giving them their own show.
You were talking about the finale being a great finale. The best finale I ever saw on a television show was Newhart, where they
Yes.
where they did the riff on the Bob Newhart show at the end, where he wakes up in the bed next to the wife from their first show.
That,
I just had this terrible dream.
yeah. And actually
And
got
they ended with the music and the logo for the first show. That was awesome.
That
I was just Chris Farley there for a second. That was awesome.
That's the only finale that really absolutely took me by surprise.
Yes.
Newhart wakes up and it's original
Suzanne
film.
Plachette.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? That was so freaking awesome. That one and the other my favorite is Saint Elsewhere.
Oh.
That was trippy. Like, wait, what? All the kids' heads? What?
That was the snow globe.
Yes.
St. Elsewhere.
Yes.
It was just the special needs patient, and he, I guess, it was all his dream or fantasy or imagination. None of it was real. Yeah. We have 2 requests. We have Robert Altman and Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay.
Which is Pan's Labyrinth, I think, right?
Yeah, Pan's
Altman.
Labyrinth, Hellboy. Yeah, this is Plus,
let me write those down.
Those are some good. Those are some good ones.
Altman,
I like those.
Yeah,
those are some good.
Popeyes.
Yeah.
And Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo
del Toro. That's right.
Yeah.
The visuals in Pan's
before we do either one of those guys, though, we're gonna have to do Hitchcock.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. That's mandatory.
Right after Spielberg.
You gotta go to the OG. Yeah.
The OG. Yeah.
But again, we don't want this to be the director's show, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We did do 2 director shows in a row with Tim Burton, and then next week John Carpenter. But we don't want to get into the habit of doing it every week.
Oh no. Yeah, my original vision for the show was, we do a variety of things, directors, genres, like best horror, our favorite horror movies, favorite sci-fi movies, that sort of thing, and maybe we can go back to that at some point, rather than specific to one director. I mean, this is fun. I mean, I love this, but yeah, we need to maybe a little bit of variety of things.
Yeah, do a certain actors or certain actresses movies. Yeah,
right. Yeah, like we did Danny Trejo. Let's do another,
give some nods to different kinds of people in the industry.
Right, Nicolas Cage,
composers, scores, that kind of thing. So we talked a lot about Danny Elfman tonight. That's a great composer. We might do a show on John Williams one night. Or or Jerry Goldsmith. Or
John Barry, Jack Horner. Oh my gosh.
James Horner.
James Horner. Yeah, sorry, James Horner. Jack Horner.
Little Jack Horner was in the corner.
Right. Bernard Herrmann.
Bernard Herrmann, yeah.
He did television. He did the original Twilight Zone theme.
Correct. Citizen Kane. Devil and Daniel Webster.
Yeah.
Went on to do some of the films with Dynamation, Jason and the Argonauts, Mysterious Island.
Yeah.
Did Hitchcock films, a lot of them.
Of course, the most famous one being Psycho, I think everybody knows.
Yeah. Well, he saved Psycho.
Yeah.
Because Hitchcock was going to turn it into an episode. He was going to cut it down and turn it into an episode of his TV show.
Yeah.
He said, it's just not what I want it to be. I don't think it's going to scare people. And Herman said, let me look at it. And he watched it and he said, okay, let me work up some music for it. And then we'll watch it with the music and you see what you think. And he did an all string score. No brass, no woodwinds, just all string score.
Right. Yeah.
And he did stuff like that. He experimented with stuff with Jason and the Argonauts. It was all horn, all horns with some percussion. There was no strings, I don't think. Other than a harp. There might have been a harp in a little small place of it, but for the most part, it was a brass score. He liked to do stuff like that, experiment with different sounds.
The best chocolate syrup.
What's that?
Somebody said it's the best use of chocolate syrup I know of. Yeah, that was the blood in the drain for the shower scene. Yeah. I love the movie. I love the movie Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins playing Hitchcock and Scarlett Johansson as Janet Leigh.
Yeah,
that was a good peek behind the curtain at the making of the movie.
And Tippi Hedren.
Oh, Tippi Hedren, yeah. Well, Tippi Hedren was the beginning of his obsession with the Icy Blondes. Yeah, I mean, he had the hots for Tippi Hedren, and he tried to recreate her every chance he could. Yeah, but let's save that if we do Hitchcock.
I wanted to top that act.
Exactly.
One of the funniest Halloween costumes I ever saw was a guy dressed up as Tippi Hedren in The Birds, and he had all these birds on wires, these seagulls, like rubber seagulls or plastic seagulls on wires, and he would shake, and all the seagulls would look like they were pecking him. It was great. I was like, that's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
so we've gone way over.
Yeah. All right. So next week, John Carpenter.
And then we're getting away from the directors for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We'll concentrate on something else.
No.
Dog films.
Dog films?
Can talk a little Benji, a little Lassie.
All right. Why not?
So, all right.
Rin Tin Tin.
Everybody.
All righty.
Go enjoy those movies.